influenced by the 10 closest people in our circle, that they're going to really have a big impact on who we become. Even just little habits that form, or how healthy we are, or the way that we talk, or what we value is being shaped by the 10 people in our circle. We are being discipled. Yes, we are all being discipled. And so when we talk about this value, I'm going to read it, all right? About we want to multiply disciples in missional communities. We want to grow in Jesus together and go for Jesus together. We want to experience Jesus' ways of discipleship occurring in the context of real life relationship. Life on life, life in community, life on mission. We want deep relationships and broad impact. We want to know Jesus and multiply disciples. We want to see Jesus be the Lord of all, everywhere, all the time. We want to multiply disciples in missional communities. That's the value statement, the work in progress, that we as a people, we want to multiply disciples in missional communities. Now, there's three pillars that are underpinning this value. One is the understanding that we're all being discipled. The other is that Jesus' way leads us to community. And then third, that Jesus' ways lead us to being sent or to mission. So I want to comment on that this morning as we look at this, that we are all being discipled. Look at Matthew 4 again, and this key verse I want to look at in verse 19, where Jesus invites them and he says to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. This is the invitation of Jesus to his disciples. He says, I will make you. To enter into relationship with Jesus, to be a follower of Jesus, to be a Christian, is to allow Jesus to make us. It's to say, Jesus, I'm going to follow your ways. I'm going to follow your lead. I'm going to allow you to be an influence, the primary one that shapes my life. Now, that's actually at direct odds with the language of our time that says, make something of yourself. That it's actually on you to make you. If you're important, if you're valuable, if you're going to be successful, you need to make it happen. You need to make something of yourself. And where Jesus says to follow him is to allow him to make you, to actually be his disciple. Now, he's going to use a variety of environments and other people in our life to do that, but it's allowed Jesus to make us, to follow his ways. So one, we are all being discipled. For us to recognize that, he says, again, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So let's just hone in on that term, follow me. The way of Jesus involves community. See, notice when Jesus invites, and if you read on even in this passage, if you have your Bible open, does Jesus invite these people to follow him by themselves? No, right? He's talking to them and he says, follow me. It's a really follow me together is the implication that Jesus forms a little tribe and that you don't see Jesus doing one-on-one mentoring. It's actually so much is attached to community. The reality is that the way of Jesus involves community. So when we talk about we want to multiply disciples, we want to be discipled by Jesus, we want to multiply disciples of Jesus in the context of missional communities, we're following the way of Jesus with this pillar understanding that the way of Jesus involves community, that God is triune, that he is three in one, that he is relationship and community within himself, that he is love. And even though that's a mysterious doctrine, that there's truth there, and that we're made in the image of God. We're actually made from love, for love. We are made for relationship. We're made for community, that we follow Jesus in the context of community. And so if we're going to allow Jesus to make us, he's actually going to make us through other people in our community. So here's the thing. If you want to be a follower of Jesus and lean in with him, then he's going to actually use other people in your community to shape you, to be a part of the influence of how you follow him, how you know him. And you're going to be that to somebody else. Now, that's a grand, inspiring invitation, but also a bit challenging. Think about someone shouted out, who influences you? And they said, you, like speaking to me. So think about that. Think about that. Isn't this crazy, actually, that God would use me or use you to actually be a part of him shaping and influencing somebody else? And so here's the challenge of community and a bit of perspective. Like there's probably people in your network, in your Christian community, that maybe you don't naturally jive with. Or maybe the way they communicate, maybe the way that I communicate or come across, you're like, that's not, this is like we rub each other the wrong way. Or maybe there's certain people that you think, oh, if I was going to host a dinner party or my birthday party, I don't know if they'd be the first people that I want. Maybe they annoy me a little bit. That person is God's gift to you to shape you. So the fruit of the Spirit, now, because now you actually go, I actually need some patience. I need some compassion. I need something that's beyond my natural inclination of the flesh if I'm going to be in relationship with this person. That's God's gift to you. The way of Jesus involves community. Eugene Peterson, the translator of the Message paraphrase, said this. I wrote this quote down. We are a community. We are not ourselves by ourselves. We are born into communities. We live in communities. We die in communities. Human beings are not solitary, self-sufficient creatures. It's in community that we're shaped and influenced. C.S. Lewis was a well-known scholar in the past generation, and he's well famous now for the Chronicles of Narnia, but he was friends with a bunch of authors and influential thinkers within academia. One was Charles Williams, and the other was Ronald Tolkien. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings. And C.S. Lewis and Charles and Ronald would hang out, and they would talk about things and go smoke their pipes and different things like this. And this, after Charles Williams dies, this is what C.S. Lewis said. I'm going to, speaking of their friendships in this circle, I'll read out this quote. In each of my friends, there is something that only some other friends can fully bring out. By myself, I am not large enough to call out the whole man into activity. I want other lights than my own to show all of his facets. So now that Charles is dead, I shall never again see Ronald's reaction to a specifically Caroline joke. This is like academic, nerdy jokes they make. Far from having more of Ronald, this is Tolkien, far from having more of Ronald, having him to myself, no, now that Charles is away, I actually have less of Ronald. He's saying that in a context of community, each person brings out something of the other. And that I only get to see a glimpse of this person because of the way they interact with that person. And so the reality is who you are is in reaction and response to the people in your community. Brett doesn't go off to Thailand backpacking for 6 months to find and discover myself by myself. Who I am and who I'm becoming is in direct response to you and who you are becoming. As we enter into relationship, who we are is happening in that relational connection. We're drawing it out of each other, shaping each other. The way of Jesus involves community. So we talk about growing as disciples, we're talking in that context. This is occurring in community. So this is what I want to do. We're going to take 3 minutes. If you're watching on Zoom, you're welcome now to turn on your camera and to actually have a short dialogue together. Just throw out brief comments to each other, or you can use the chat if you're scared to turn on your camera. If you're in person, I'm going to invite you to turn to 2 or 3 people around you. And if you absolutely don't want to participate, then you can just reflect in your introverted self, all right? But here's the question. Why is community important for our journey with Jesus? Why is community? Just flesh that out in dialogue. Why is community important for a journey with Jesus? And you can expand on maybe specific examples if you have time. But why is community important for your journey with Jesus? Okay, turn to somebody around you, and you can begin to talk about that together. Another minute. All right. Begin to invite us back together. We're talking about the value of how we want to multiply disciples in missional communities, or in community that is sent, that's on mission, and how undergirding that value is the recognition that we're actually all being discipled and shaped. So it's not a matter of if I'm being discipled, it's a matter about who I'm allowing and choosing to disciple me. Undergirding it is also this recognition that the way of Jesus involves community. So just a couple of people shout out, if you can give me like the one sentence highlight, what were some of the reasons of why community becomes important in wanting to be an apprentice or disciple of Jesus?
Provides accountability.
Okay, so there's accountability. Great. Yes.
Provides safety.
Safety. Right, that becomes helpful, right? If I'm going to take a risk or step out in some sort of way, that I have other people that are going to support me, yeah.
They
What?
can challenge you to think of things you've never thought of before.
Right. Yeah, we all come at things from different perspectives, and so they can challenge us to think about things in new ways. Yeah, great.
It was like a place to give and receive from others.
Community becomes a place of people that we can give and receive, and that's really the essence of love, right? It's be able to give and receive. Yes. One more?
Learn from other people's experiences and their walk with God.
Yeah, you learn from other people's experiences and their journey. Yes. Yeah, we all have there's different gifts, there's different personalities, there's different experience, and so we actually all benefit when we get to lean in together versus us all just doing our own thing. So there's a recognition, the way of Jesus involves community. Jesus says, follow me. But when he says, follow me, it's really an invitation to follow him with other people. And this is not the natural default or inclination of our culture and day. We just breathe the air of individualism, and that all of us just trying to figure out our thing. And so I think there's an opportunity for us to grow together as community. Then Jesus says this, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Now, what does he mean by that? I'm going to make you fishers of men. Well, he's talking to fishermen. So if you're a computer programmer, I'm not sure what he would say to you today if he showed up, right? But he's saying, I'm going to make you fishers of men. So right now you're fishing for fish, but I'm actually going to invite you to follow me to be my apprentice or disciple, and I'm going to make you into somebody different. And a part of that is that you're going to participate with me into going to the world and inviting people to come and to know me, to know my love. That you're going to step into my mission, my purpose, to be sent with me. Because we know that love leads to multiplication. And that the more we mature, the more that maturity in Christ involves maturity in love. And love leads to responsibility and care for others. So if I grow in Jesus, a part of me growing in Jesus is a part of me growing in loving and helping develop community in others. Like a parent has children that they care for. So the way of Jesus involves community. The way of Jesus also involves mission. I'm going to make you fishers of men. Jesus formed his community around his purpose, around his mission. Let's think about that. The very invitation to join his crew is to join his mission of going out to serve the world. So you join the community because you're joining the mission. And that becomes important because so often I think we as in the church can sometimes think, okay, what we'll do is we'll try and form community, and then we'll make a community where we all feel really safe and connected and loved and deep, and it's like we make a community around us, but at some point we'll try to add mission that's not just about us. But that's not what Jesus does. He actually says, I'm going to form community, and as we go out to be sent together, we're going to grow deeper together. And as we grow, we're going to grow deeper together as we're sent together. So it's not, he doesn't just go one and then, wait for a year and then try and add the next layer. It's actually both are happening in tandem. To join his community is based on joining his mission. Mission becomes the organizing principle of the community, which is a great challenge, I think, for us. C.S. Lewis spoke to this again, and I wrote this quote down. He says, "We picture lovers face to face." That's what Natalie always wants to communicate to me, my wife, who's helping with the kids downstairs. She'll say, "We haven't really talked lately," and I'll say, "Well, we talked as we drove. We talked as we did dishes. We've been talking all night." And she'll say, "No, really talked." What does she mean? She means eyes to eyes, face to face, right? And that's the thing, and that women typically appreciate face-to-face connection, where men are more comfortable with shoulder-to-shoulder connection. And so sometimes we have to remember that about each other. But C.S. Lewis says, we picture lovers face-to-face, but friends side by side. Their eyes then look ahead. This is why, he's a little bit harsh here, but give him some grace. This is why those pathetic people who simply want friends can never make any. The very condition of having friends is that we should want something else besides friends. Otherwise, there would be nothing for the friendship to be about. And friendship must be about something. And so this is why you join a sports team, and there can be a bond, because the team has a purpose more than the relationship of the individuals on it. This is why people that go to war, or even you watch the videos of what's happening right now in Ukraine, there's a bond, an intimacy, a depth of connection and community of coming together because there's a greater purpose other than the extent of just you and I connecting and feeling safe with each other. If the goal of the friendship is just the friendship itself, it just sort of sucks the life out of it, because love is bigger and multiplies and looks outward. And so Jesus forms community with mission in mind. There's a greater purpose than just the community. It's the community with mission. It's missional community. And so this value is saying that what we want to do as a church is we want to choose to be disciples of Jesus who are shaped in the context of missional community or sent family, community on mission. That's what we're choosing to lean into together. Why is that stretching or challenging as we close? Why is that stretching or challenging?
Can you repeat it?
Pardon?
Can you repeat that, please?
As a church community with this value, we're saying that we value multiplying disciples in community on mission. So we're saying that we're choosing to be discipled in the context of community and in the context of being sent or mission, the mission of Jesus. We're layering that. I want to be discipled. I'm going to be discipled in community, and that community is going to be sent. Why is that challenging and stretching for us? To say, if we really, actually, I'm really going to value that. I'm really going to choose it and lean into that. And we all do that together.
It's definitely challenging because it's like we haven't done it before, but it's a little bit nicer, encouraging that you have friends with you that are going with you to do it.
Okay.
So it's like, hey, we're going to go on a prayer walk. Or it's a lot easier than I'm going on a prayer walk.
Right. So one level it's just challenging because it's not necessarily our default. Our default is not to think, I want to grow, I'm going to choose community to grow with, and we're going to grow in a bigger purpose than ourselves. But there's also strength in choosing to grow together. Great. Anyone else? What's stretching or challenging?
Fear of transparency.
Fear of transparency. Right. It's much easier for me to think, I'm going to grow with God and allow God to change the dark stuff of my life, like my impatience or my anxiety or whatever, by myself. Right? But to actually step into community and bring that impatience or bring that anxiety, allow people to see that so that they can actually help change me in that. Well, that suddenly reminds me of my lack and need. And I actually don't want to be reminded of that. And I don't want other people to see it. And I don't want to have them actually be able to help me with it, because now I'm very vulnerable and dependent upon them. So that's stretching.
Fear of judgment.
Fear of judgment, yeah. Yeah, if we actually bind together and say, we're going to go on something that's impossible to do in our own strength, and we're going to come in together, like, what if I fall short? What if people judge me? What if what if they see my flaws and they go, ooh.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure, yeah. And that is a great fear of failure. That's a big thing, I think, when we think about discipleship occurring in the context of being sent to the world, is that this regularly strikes me. The mission of Jesus is impossible for you and I to do. As in, you cannot do it. We cannot go out to our city and be lights and make Jesus known and see hearts transformed. Because human beings can't change the hearts of other human beings. You can't do that. You can't rescue somebody out of addiction. You can't rescue them out of their ideology. God alone can change hearts and be able to respond to Him. And so to step out into the purpose of Jesus, into my neighborhood, sports team, your workplace, the fear of failure can rise up, because what we're actually trying to do is impossible to do. Which is why that's why we're actually postured to be shaped and discipled. Because now we're postured to go, I need the Spirit of Jesus. I need the Spirit of Jesus. Well, maybe that's a good place for us to wrap up.